I'm Elias Sideris. I'm a knife maker, a machinist, and a fabricator in West Oakland, California. I've been working in metal for 15 years, about half my life. Knives were the first thing I started with, and then I fell in love with all the tools, machines, and processes involved. I knew I didn't want to do anything else, so I worked in architectural fabrication for years until I had the opportunity to start my own shop. I've always found that what moves me in objects is a combination of utility and form. I think that's exemplified by culinary knives. They're simple and elegant, and they're a tool for everyone, a tool for making food. I've always been drawn to tools as objects that tell a story of human use, even if it's anonymous. I love objects that are made to be an extension of a human hand, implying the touch of countless hands over their lifetimes. Machines, too, even if they're engineered for a specific, precise purpose, are also extensions of the hand and have such personality in their design and presence. I grew up in New England, surrounded by the ghosts of all these brick factories, exploring them, finding artifacts and half-finished work and handwritten notes from the 1800s. It was sort of impossible not to be transported back to when these buildings were busy and loud with production, with tons of natural light streaming through the windows. When I started making knives and other things, I felt connected to the ghosts of these factories and their stories, real or imagined. Stories have always been really important to me, and histories of how craft turned into industrial process and how that's left us with all these old, beautiful knives and tools. That became a really big inspiration for me. I make objects in my interpretation of that tradition, sort of simple, but with attention paid to the things that matter, trying not to lose the forest for the trees, something you can appreciate but not put on a pedestal and feel ease and joy in using. 10 years ago I met Josh Donald, an owner of Bernal Cutlery, and we started nerding out about all the history. 5 years ago I moved out to California from the East Coast, and it was obvious we had to start collaborating. They approached me about designing a house brand line for Bernal Cutlery, and we came up with the Greenfield Duboce, which has a whole story behind it connected to industrial New England and also the history of Japanese culinary knives. I've learned so much with Josh and everyone else at Bernal, and I've had the opportunity to make big production batches of a tool that we solely designed from the blanks to the box. It's been a dream come true for me to make a good tool and get it out there and put it in people's hands. I love forging knives because it's a very fast-paced process. You have to think quickly and use the most of your heat and respond to the way the metal is moving in real time based on your experience and intuition. On the other hand, I also really love the meditative aspect of grinding, taking time to think about what you're doing and feel how you're doing it. But both forging and grinding share being in your body and communing with the object through your hands, moving more than thinking to create a shape you have in your mind. I usually prefer the simplicity of monosteel forged blades, and sometimes I make stock removal knives. If I'm forging a blade, I almost always leave some level of forged scale on it. Like a lot of people, I'm really captivated by the organic texture of forged scale and the way it's starkly contrasted by the belt ground finish of the bevel. My blades definitely borrow from Japanese aesthetics, but my overall style usually feels more Western. Handles are where I get to bring in more design. I really favor handles with subtle curves, and I often make brass bolsters in shapes that feel particularly European or American. There's so much complexity in trying to make something simple and clean. Making flat surfaces mate, making all the lines of a blade and a handle agree with each other, and give the real spirit of the shape you have in your head. There's always a lot of effort in making something look effortless.